right, I'll put this
Not
here.
a lot of people know about the story outside of Denmark, or now they do, but they didn't before. So that's
Right. I read that you graduated from the National Film School of Denmark. So can you talk about kind of how film school prepared you for your career versus like what a regular university might have?
Yeah, the thing is that actually in Denmark you don't have, I think it's a little bit different system from over here. Most universities have a big like media or film, you can study film. But the thing is that the universities in Denmark, the film courses that they have are much more geared towards being a film journalist or maybe a film teacher. And if you actually want to do practical filming, you got to go to the Danish Film School.
Right.
So I think that was the good thing about even getting in is very, very difficult. So we were very lucky. We both actually got in at the same time, and because you get to do films, you get to go out there and shoot, and you get to work with actors and write scripts and all these things that definitely prepare you very, very well, or at least as well as. It all depends on talent, but still, you can at least get to try out some stuff.
Okay. Can you talk about your experience as well with film school and kind of like how that prepared you versus a regular university?
Yeah, I mean, as Nick said, it's a practical education. So you learn the craft of screenwriting. I was on the script writing line.
Right.
And so we basically just wrote a lot of scripts. I mean, whereas university, the film education at the university is purely theoretical. Theory.
In Denmark.
In Denmark, yeah. So that's like the main difference. Yeah, it's just great.
Great. Well, like I said, I love the film, and I think it's the best foreign language film I've seen all year. I noticed in the movie that there was certain scenes where English was incorporated. Can you talk about the decision-making process behind that and why you decided to include a little bit of the English dialogue in there as well?
Well, it actually comes natural to the story and it's only in the beginning because she was British, the main character of the Queen Caroline. She was an English girl, and her mom was, and they were English. So we just thought, the first 5 minutes take place in England. Let's not have them speak Danish because that would be weird.
Right.
Let's have them speak English. So we cast, an English for her mother. We cast Harriet Walter, a great English actress, and Alicia spoke English. So that was that was basically the decision. I mean, I think people would have probably laughed at us if we tried to say that they would be talking Danish, in England at that time.
Right. Well, it was a good choice to.
Yeah, it was like a natural decision. Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I noticed that this was a very emotional role for Mads Mikkelsen, and he plays it so beautifully. What type of direction did you give him on set to kind of get to that emotional core, or did it just come naturally for him?
He is a very, very good actor. So you don't have to say a lot to him. He prepares a lot. And we were shooting this film in Prague. So he would be coming into my room at like 2 o'clock at night and talk about the next day. He would be very, very passionate about every single day of shooting. So you don't. That's a dream as a director. You don't really have to do that much because he clearly understands his character, the scenes, and then you just go for it. You keep doing it until you can feel this was the right take or the right scene. But clearly Matt is wonderful and can handle himself very well on the set.
Right. I agree. And as for Alicia, she had such a strong performance throughout the whole film. It was just amazing to see her, and she did a wonderful job carrying the film, I thought. Can you talk about the process in casting her for the lead role?
Yeah, we had been looking for. I've been casting basically every girl in Denmark, and almost actors and actresses and non-actresses, because I couldn't find. I had this vision of Caroline that I was really specific, and I couldn't find her. And I think it's something about the Danish girls being a little too street for playing a queen, and they lack that certain regal quality that I wanted. So in the end, we were a little bit desperate, and we went to Sweden, our neighboring country, and we found her there. She was a complete unknown, by the way, but she was perfect. So the only thing we had to do was she had to learn Danish, and that actually, so she came to Copenhagen and started learning Danish, and and she did. I mean, she learned the language in the movie Captain.
Right, because at first when I was researching her, I didn't even know that she was British. At first, I thought like she spoke the language so well. I was amazed. So yeah, congratulations on casting her.
She was a fine.
Yeah.
And now obviously she's getting big over here. She's in Anna Karenina next. She's gonna be in a big fantasy film with Jeff Bridges, like For the Seventh Son. She's doing big films now.
Great, yeah. I haven't seen Anna Karenina yet, but I'm seeing it next week. I'm excited for that one as well. Since you've adapted so many novels, is there a novel out there that you actually think shouldn't be adapted into a screenplay?
Oh yeah, quite a lot. I mean,
thousands.
We just read. Actually, I'd love to do a book called Power of the Dog by Don Winslow. I love that book. It's about 30 years of the Mexican drug war. But I mean, I'd love to do like I could give you like 100 titles that I'd love to do. There's so much good literature, and I think it's just a great place to go searching for your next film.
Is there a specific one that, besides the Don Winslow book, that you would really like to adapt?
We were talking about this yesterday. I mean, what kind of book? There's so many. It depends on what kind of where you want to go. Do you want to do something historical again? Do you want to do maybe something a contemporary drama or a sci-fi film? It really depends on what kind of film we want to do next. We were talking about War and Peace that happened last time, you know, and other big epic films. But we haven't set our sights on anything yet.
Okay.
Do you have any ideas for us? Do you have a book?
I mean, a lot of people think that The Catcher in the Rye shouldn't be touched at all. But I would kind of love to see that play into the movie world, because obviously there's certain things in the book world that are kept in the book and that you can't translate over to the movie. I mean, specifically, I guess with the Royal Affair, was there any part of the book that you couldn't take over into the movie world that you maybe wish you had, or were you just kind of glad that it was left alone in the book world?
I mean, the book behind Royal Affair, we sort of had a very free relationship with that. Because I mean, it's based on the true events, and we sort of looked at those events, and that was the frame for the film. So we tried to stay loyal to the true events rather than to stay loyal to the book. We just liked the book and picked sort of specific details from the book and that we used. But I'd actually say that it's more based on the true story than on the book.
Okay.
Yeah. We did research for about a year just to figure out what was going on and what happened to these characters. So, and obviously we fell in love with so many of these real details that we sort of, the book got a little, you know, I don't think the author of the book recognizes so much of her novel, but she doesn't mind because it's still the true story.
So you kind of read also like a lot of the history as well and pulled from that. Exactly. What was the most shocking thing that you found about their story? But that, I mean, obviously there's so many shocking things in the movie, but what was the one thing that was that wow factor for you when you were researching for the movie?
I mean, the wow factor, we knew that beforehand because it's a famous story in Denmark, and every school kid knows the story. So, and the wow factor is the story about a common guy that becomes the de facto king of Denmark. I think that's just an amazing journey to, and that was the main attraction to make it into a movie. But it was, the research sort of showed the characters as real human beings rather than just the crazy king and the naive princess and all of that. So reading the Queen's letters and reading about how the king was a fan of the theater and used the theater as a shield to protect himself when he was appearing at the court, and all of that sort of just gave us, you know, the feeling of three-dimensional characters, and it's a character drama, so that's also what we were searching for. Who were these people, and what did they think, and how did they talk, and just to make it as plausible as possible.
Sure.
I think the big thing for me was probably You know, the fact that this guy came to court and he tried to help people, he really did. And somehow his opposers managed to turn the entire nation against him,
Right.
even though he actually tried to help everybody, which is a very contemporary story. You know, I think that resembles other modern day, you know, politicians who are basically trying to help people in any country, you know, and you can always find some way of bringing them down, you know, the visionaries.
Exactly.
That was interesting.
Did you have like kind of, so what was that like? So obviously that was your wow factor. What else that was there by researching where you felt that you had to include that certain part of the movie, or was there anything that you kind of just left?
No, I mean, okay, there's definitely the character of the king. We didn't know how multifaceted he was. We didn't know that he was both a little crazy, but also very charming and fun and like a small child, and that he loved I think we also discovered, you know, that he loved the theater. He actually wanted to be an actor and not
Right.
really be a king. And we found he was a very intriguing character, and we really spent a lot of time, you know, trying to bring that to life. And obviously there was a lot of stuff that we didn't get to use. I mean, there were so many characters back then in the real story that we didn't have time to bring into a film. It would have been a 6-hour film.
Right.
And so many details. But maybe one day, you know, we'll do the prolonged version or something. But we just didn't have time for everything, which we had to compress the story.
Right. I thought that the most interesting aspect of the film was the relationship between the king and the doctor, because at first when I'm watching it, it's like, well, you know, he's clearly in love with the queen.
Yeah.
But he also cares so much for the king in almost like a father-son type way.
Exactly, yeah.
Was that your intention to kind of show that as well? Because it did come off like the scene where he was like, I don't want to be alone again. I don't want to be alone. I was like, wow, like this is so emotional, because I didn't think that they were going to come like quite that far.
No, totally. I mean, you got it. I mean, that was the whole idea.
Right. No, it was so good.
We fell in love with the idea of this father or, you know, older brother type relationship, and there was a great love, almost like a platonic love affair between these two guys, and it was very touching and poignant as well for us.
Yeah, it's just the fact that this doctor understands him and he makes him a more sane and a better person, and you know, and then it just goes wrong between them. It's just so devastating that you have this guy that can actually help you, and he does that, but then it's just they can't have it all, you know, and it's just so you have this tragic outcome either way. So the friendship was as much a piece of fascination as the love story itself.
Exactly, yeah, because I thought that was what made the film stand out from these other, you know, period century romances that I've seen, is that we have this whole other relationship between the doctor and the king, and it's kind of good that you brought that to especially in more attention during the second act. Was that something that you kind of adapted from history, or you just?
No, that's true. That's all true.
I was gonna say, okay, that's all true. That what they're.
I mean, it could have been. We decided to. We actually wanted to cheat the audience a little bit, because we decided to start the story as if it was a straight out love story. You know, it's a very classic. You know, oh, here comes the young queen. She's marrying this insane king, and then we want to slowly, you know, steer the film towards the political stuff and the friendship between the king and and that's what we did. I mean, and we hope that people wouldn't be impatient, you know, with the first part, because obviously everything comes to fruition towards the end. You understand why everything has been like it is, but of course it starts very classically and then becomes something slightly different.
Right, because you really don't feel too sympathetic for the king, kind of in the end. But I found myself saying, like, I was like, aw, like out loud, so many times for like this guy who's, you know, but you just really end up feeling for him. So I thought that was very well done. Can you talk about the process of casting Mads Mikkelsen and then also the King as well.
Well, the King is, I don't know whether you know this, but this was his first role ever.
Well,
He'd
okay.
never done anything.
When I was researching, I thought that it was his
Yeah.
first feature
Yeah,
film,
it
but I
is.
wasn't sure.
It's his first feature film. It's his first part, professional. And he was in acting school. He was in theater, school. So it was very daunting for him and for me to. I mean, this part is hugely difficult, obviously. But when he did the casting, he was so naturally, he was such a natural for playing that part that I thought, okay, it might go wrong. Who knows what'll happen? This guy has never been in a film. He's never been in front of a camera before.
Right.
But on the other hand, if we do succeed, he'll be amazing because he acts like he's a fantastic actor. And with Mads, it was a no-brainer because Mads is the biggest star of Denmark.
Right.
He's even sort of big over here now.
Oh, my dad's like, oh, the Casino Royale
exactly.
guy. He was so excited.
Exactly. Like he's in films like Clash of the Titans.
Right.
Now he's playing Hannibal.
And now he's going to play
Oh
Hannibal.
yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
But so it was a no-brainer. It's like he's definitely the best actor that we could find for the part, and you're just lucky if you get him. So I was lucky that he said yes.
Right.
He's a perfect, iconic actor for a very iconic role.
Absolutely, because I know that he is definitely one of Denmark's, if not biggest. He is the biggest
male star.
Yeah. So congratulations on the film. I loved it. I loved
Thank
it.
you so much.
I'm hoping that it will do well around award season for you guys.
Don't forget your.
My recorder. That happens all the time.